something that I say along the way will touch you. I know it. Let's begin that process of crafting a meaningful life.
Here's Mary Crafts.
Good morning, and welcome back to Crafting a Meaningful Life. I don't care if you're listening in the morning. That's my favorite time to listen to things. Or if you're listening at night, just before you go to bed, because sometimes mine are great to fall asleep to. Or maybe you're on your drive to work. But whatever time of the day you listen, every time of the day is the perfect time to be in the active mode of crafting your meaningful life. So I want to tell you a little bit about, before I introduce my guest, I want to tell you a little bit about why she's here today. I've been talking, and you've heard me talk about my different regime, that's totally the wrong way. My different method and embracing life of waking up in the morning and how I walk through. There are 3 different levels of meditation. So with my breath work, and then into some movement, and then to that really focusing in on receiving my message is for today, whether it's from me, from source, from God, from the universe, from my guides. There's something there every day for me. And sometimes it is simply this overwhelming sense of gratitude. Sometimes it's very specific. And this week it was very specific. And I really wanted Chantel, my guest, Chantel Nielson, been my dear friend for so long now, to be on the show with me, to help me understand what this message was. And maybe it's I have too much fear to look at it. Maybe I want more understanding, and maybe she can help open some doorways. So after I had done my breath, my movement, connected with the Mother Earth, came and sat down, and I pushed away the past, as I do, push away the future, focus in on the now, and nothing particularly came. So I thought, that's okay, just stay here. You're good. There's always gratitude. And then, as clear as a bell, are you ready to be healed? And I just sat in that for a minute. And I audibly said out loud, yes, I'm ready to be healed. And so welcome, Chantel Nielson. She is owner of Goddess Chanti Healing. And so if I'm ready to be healed, and I need to swing that door open wide, there is no one that I would rather have on this planet here than you, because I have a sense that there is physical healing involved with this for sure. But I know that physical healing is stemming from so much else. So let's first start with a little bit about what you do and your qualifications, and then you're going to dive deep into helping Mary understand. I'm just like dumbfounded that they wanted to ask me that question, because I thought I had been there. Okay, so let's start with you.
Start with me. So I have been practicing the healing arts for over 20 years now, and I do all kinds of things. My practice is very eclectic. One of my favorite things to do is learn, and so I have constantly been learning different tools and different techniques to be able to help people and help myself to unwind all of the old programming, the limiting beliefs, the energetic baggage that we pick up and we carry through life, so that we can live as our best authentic self. So my practice incorporates massage, it incorporates soul fragmentation, healing, different energy techniques such as Reiki, acupressure. I use sound bowl healing. And so it's never the same when you come to see me. Just get to show up and hear what is your intention for the session, and let's check in with spirit and how can I best show up to help guide you through your healing journey, because it's not me that does the work. Ultimately, it's you, right? Yeah. And I just get to be a facilitator of that energy and listen to what we need to shift.
Yes, I remember the very first time, Chantel, that I came to have you do a massage, because I'd had dozens of people say to me, you need to get a massage from Chanti. It's a life-changing experience. And I'm like, wow, life-changing from a massage. I'm in. And I came, I expected this like deep tissue, moving my muscles, this total shift, and like I was going to get up from the table and just like, wow, I'm feel great. I'm going to run a 10-miler. So in the middle of the session, when you were massaging me, I was like, this isn't at all what I thought. She's like kind of just barely touching me at times. And she's moving a lot, but this is not what I expected. But anyway, then the massage was over and I stood up, and that's when I realized the difference. My whole body felt like new, like a new body. There had been so much stuck energy, like my shoulder was bothering me, my back had been bothering, my hips had been bothering, my lymph nodes had been bothering me. And suddenly I just felt like there was this whole new energy moving through my body. And even though it was not this deep tissue, like, I'm going to force this out of you, Mary. You got the skills, girl. You got the skills.
Well, thank you, Mary. And I remember that day very, very well. You showed up. It was on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
You were
yeah.
in your red dress. You were treating yourself to Valentine's, loving yourself. And so, yes, and what I love is that you were willing to receive.
Yeah.
And I like to say I get deeper results with lighter techniques, because
Yeah.
although there is a place for the deep tissue and the working out, all of that stuff, my skill set and my passion is working on the lighter techniques, but do the deeper healing, right? Because we store this energetic baggage and stuff that makes us feel weighed down, that causes the knots in our
Yeah.
shoulders and causes the pain in our back and in our knees. And so being able to lightly, and it's energy,
It totally
right?
is energy. When I came, I thought, oh, I've injured myself at the gym from doing those heavy, pec pulls. And by the way, that's my best exercise. So I love that. And I just knew it was right here. When I would pull back, like to reach back, I'm like, oh, ow. I had stuck energy there from some mindset, and you simply allowed the energy to move through that shoulder. And when I got in my car to leave, I always reached back and put my purse in the back seat. And when I reached back, I was like, oh my gosh, I can do that without any pain. So I've thought I was open and ready for healing. Why would that be my message?
Well, Mary, I think that there's a lot of layers to that, right? We feel like we can be open to healing. And if we look at healing as we go into this stuff and we work through different patterns and programs, we can heal a thing. And it's like peeling an onion, right? But then a year later, we might come to that same thing. And if we can envision it as being on a spiral staircase going upward, we're now going to come back to another layer of that thing, but we have this new awareness, right? And so are you ready to heal at this next level? Are you ready to heal and go a little bit deeper? Because the deeper healing, sometimes it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah, unfortunately. So that's probably some fear stuck. I'm stuck a little bit with fear of what the next level looks like, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Fear plays a big part in
I was afraid you were going to say that. I'm done with fear, okay?
Well, the beautiful thing about it is, Mary, your book is amazing, and you wrote this amazing book on overcoming fear, right? And I love the book. I've read it multiple times, and yet there are still ways that fear creeps into our life. And are we going to let that fear hold us back, or are we going to look at it and say, okay, I see you, right? And have the humility to say, oh, I might still have a little bit of fear in me. What am I resisting?
Yeah. Yeah, I know that I have fear in me still. In fact, I look at it every day. I'm like, oh, you're still around? And then I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's deal with this. I can, and then when I feel like I'm ready, you know, let's move on and move through it. I think that's one of the things I've learned about fear, Shanti, is that it is a matter of moving through it. You just can't short circuit and just walk around it. And you can't hand it to somebody else, even though that would be lovely. And we can postpone it, but it doesn't change it. And so that old saying of the only way out is through is so apropos in this situation. So
Yes.
as I look at, am I ready to heal? And I answered out loud, yes. I'm not quite sure what the next step is then.
So there's a book that was written by Carol Truman. It's called Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die. It was one of the first books that I read that gave me this bigger picture of this belief in, oh, okay, when we hold on to our stuff or we shove it down, it doesn't really go away, right? It causes this
Yeah.
lower vibration that is emitting this negative energy that eventually will manifest itself in physical form. And not only what we've experienced in this lifetime, but we can get stuff passed down from our ancestors and stuff that we went through when we were in our mother's womb, emotions and whatever our mother went through when she was pregnant with us. And so all of these things play a
Right.
huge factor into how we are today and what patterns and programs that we have, right? Genetic disease, heart disease, right? And how do we look at that? What could be causing that we can heal so that we can get rid of the physical?
Yes. I love that because I know that book. And I think you and I both recently have had that kind of experience where we've been, all of a sudden, we allowed ourselves to be keenly aware of a past experience. I became keenly aware in my childhood of an experience that I had no idea I was still carrying. And I hadn't thought about it in decades. I was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7. And all of a sudden, that memory just popped up and I went, wow. And so how long had that lived down there? Well, a long time. And I realized that I needed to do what I talk about, which is forgive myself. And that this could never be let go. I couldn't ever heal it until I looked at it and forgave myself. That was huge for me. That was huge. And you recently had one like that.
Yes, I've recently had a lot of things coming up as I really dive taken a deep dive into my personal healing and really looking at what are my physical ailments and what is holding me
Right.
back, and am I willing to push through that fear. One of my favorite quotes is, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek.
Oh, say that once again.
The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek.
Wow.
So it's looking in that cave. That's powerful.
Well, there you go, listeners. That cave that you've been fearing to enter is where the treasure is. Wow.
Yes.
Powerful.
It, yes. And so realizing that, and now what do we do with that? What do we do with this information? Aside from Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die, or in addition to, there's another book that I love called Messages from the Body, called Michael
Yes.
Linden. And it goes more in depth, and you have this book, Mary. It goes more in depth about different psychological meanings to physical ailments, and I really love that. And And here's the thing is that we have all these tools, right? That we can read and say, oh, it could be this, this, or this. And then really checking in what resonates with me in this, what in this resonates with me. And then the other piece, and this is where I love to come in, is to be a safe, compassionate witness, because we can do a lot of our own personal healing, but there is such power in having a compassionate witness and allowing you to bring up your most vulnerable stuff so that you can give voice to it, so that it's not hidden and you can heal it. And that is the majority of the work that I'm currently doing. And I love it.
And you're so good at it. When people walk into your space, they immediately know that you hold a safe place. It's just this energy that you have. So what if people live out of state, or they don't live near Salt Lake? How does someone begin to find this? Or more importantly, I actually see the value of someone out here, because I have not yet verbalized out loud to another individual that which I discovered from so long ago and that I am forgiving myself for. I haven't spoken out loud yet. And now, see, I'm working through this. Thanks to you that you said that it sometimes may require more than just saying to yourself, I forgive myself. The process of saying it out loud. Wow, I can already feel what a release that is. Okay, I need to schedule a time with you.
I would love that.
Because you were absolutely a totally safe place for me.
I would love to hold space for you.
But say,
Yes,
for example,
absolutely.
somebody's not right here in Salt Lake or in surrounding communities that they could easily come to you. I think you're in Bountiful? Yeah.
I am in my main office is in Bountiful.
So how does someone begin to find this person? Can it be their spouse or their partner or their sister or their mother? Or is it better to be someone that they really don't know, but then if they don't know them, how do they have this trust level? Walk me through that.
Sure. Well, Mary, building trust is huge, especially when you're doing really deep work. I've also found that your partner sometimes cannot be that person for you. Sure, it can for some things, right? But somebody that can show up and hold this safe space for you without judgment of whatever the things are and whatever may come up. And in the deeper healing that I have done, some things come up in it, and there's a thread that winds through multiple areas of our life. And so it might flow over into this relationship that you have with your significant other. And so there might not be some things that you're ready to divulge to them at the moment, right? And so having that compassionate witness that can hold that space for you. So there are several things. One way that I started several years ago as well was with the body code and the emotion code. And if you go onto Healer's Library website, there's a map of practitioners. And so you can find somebody in your area, and that is a way to start. However, I have clients in Oregon, in California, in Arizona, in Florida.
Because of Zoom now.
So just like, right. And so, and in the work that I do, yes, there is important in physical touch, and I'm not going to discount that at all, because it is lovely. And there is this beautiful way that we can, through technology now, do it over Zoom. Everything is connected energetically. So I can help navigate and help guide you through things over Zoom or a video call, FaceTime, whatever it is.
Yeah, I love that. I never even dawned on me that, of course, people can find that on Zoom, and that I've actually had that experience with different things on Zoom where they could be that connected. That seems to be a very personal thing. To find that. I love that. So I want to talk for just a second about you and I.
Okay.
Because
It's a great
it's
topic.
such a great topic. I mean, like you were my biggest cheerleader when I was writing my book and when it came out. And as I was sending it off, I still had just the manuscript. You're like, I want to read it first. I want to read it first. And I'm like, okay, okay, okay. And you read it from a manuscript, put it thing, and you're like, I want the first copy. You know, like, okay. Okay, this is my third reading. I'm like, okay, okay. It's not that deep of a book. You're such my cheerleader, my champion, and I love that. So you're in the process of also wanting to get back to where you feel like you are healthy and energetic, and you've spent so much time and energy in focused on your business and healing people that even perhaps you have neglected healing some of the parts of yourself. So you reached out to me
Yes.
and said, hey, Mary, I want to start doing some hiking again. Would you go with me on this hike? And never to look a hiking challenge down. I was like, absolutely, you know. And so we set up this time for you and I to go. And this was just like 2 weeks ago. And we met at the park, and it was going up Mueller Trail and up to the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, and it's really a beautiful hike. But it's 4 miles up and 4 miles down, and it's 100 flights of stairs, elevation gain going up. I had done this hike a lot, Chantel, and you had done it just the week before, and you made it. But you showed up, and your fear was, I hope I can keep up with Mary. She hasn't hiked in a while. Maybe she'll want to stop, and that'll be good. And
Yes.
I showed up thinking, I haven't done this hike in a while, and I haven't done anything since my fall when I was moving into the house. And what if I can't make it? What if I have to turn around? What if my knees give out? What if my back gives out? I'm now older. I just self-sabotaging stuff. Both of us were just like, we're going, but boy, are we both afraid. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts that morning as you came to hike.
Well, yeah, I was excited to be out in
Sure.
nature. One thing that as I have done some of this deeper healing work, I've realized a lot of my adolescent self needed healing. And as a teenager, I used to love to run in the mountains and in the trees. And so here I am in this stage of my life, and I have this beautiful friend and mentor that climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and I'm just getting back into my physical fitness journey. And I here's Mary saying, "Yeah, let's go do Elephant Rock." And even though I had done it the week before, it was the aftermath of it. My feet were sore, my legs were sore, and so there was that fear creeping in for me. And oh my gosh, what if I can't keep up with Mary? And maybe she won't want to go all the way. Surely we'll just go halfway and come back down. But what we both found out, Mary, was that it wasn't about any of
Yeah.
that. It wasn't about keeping a certain pace or having to be strong. It was about spending time in nature with a dear friend and
Yeah.
enjoying all of the beauty of our friendship and of God's
Yeah.
creations and the sunlight and the little animals that we saw on the way. And it was and that in itself is so
Yeah.
healing.
Nature is such a gift to us. It is one of the best healing arts I know. And I remember at one point you turned and said to me, how do you know so much about this stuff? These plants, these trees, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I don't know. My mom was just always very connected to nature. And I realized I had become so connected to nature. Like when I said to you, oh yeah, that's wild rhubarb. But you can't eat the leaves; they're poisonous. But you can eat. So if you're ever out here, you can eat the stalks. You know, I mean, I was like, oh, that's a box elder tree, and and even I would had to stop and be saying like, I do know a lot about this because over my life I have spent a lot of time out there. And I love that piece of being connected. But the thing that we realized about both of us is there's no give up in us. There's no like walking away and leaving something on the table. What if we had come back? What if we'd stopped? We both know at the bottom when we got back, we would have silently asked ourselves, was there more in me? Did I give up too soon? And the only way for us to know that is to go to the top. And we didn't like rush up there. We just took our time. And when we got up, we got to, sit on the benches up there. And it wasn't about physical exertion. There was a goal, and we definitely met that. But it was about the healing arts of being with someone you trust. And I think that is one of the most, I don't know, sad is not the word, but it is almost debilitating way to live if you do not have those kind of relationships that are absolute trust, that you could share something with someone and you know they would be standing beside you tomorrow. That is such a beautiful place. And in those kind of loving arms, you learn to know what it is to forgive yourself because it's the safest place you ever imagined. And that's a gift that you gave to me that day. And we made it.
And we made it. Yes. And we had a great time.
But here's the other part that I thought was funny. So I was actually totally amazed at myself. I went up there. My back didn't hurt. My knees, and I was feeling good. Plenty of energy. Turned around, came back down. Nope. Because that's when your knees hurts when you're coming down and the impact. Nope. Feel great. And we got down at the bottom. We hugged. We said goodbye. I got in my car and sat down. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I didn't know I was exhausted. And then I got home and I fell asleep on the sofa for 2 hours. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder how Chantel is. She's probably great. She probably went to the gym afterwards, And then
No, I was doing the same thing you were, Mary.
when we finally texted each other, it was just a laugh out loud to find out, oh my gosh, here we are in the exact same place. And that we all have the exact same fears. And we're all in the exact same process. It's this sense of oneness that I absolutely love about the healing process. You do not have to be alone.
And Mary, I want to just talk a little more on that being alone part. And if you remember a few weeks before that, when I had asked you, hey, will you help me accomplish this goal in springtime next year, sometime before my birthday next year. And it was to go on a really challenging hike, right? And so Bueller Park is a good, easy one to do, but I'm excited to see where we go. But here's the piece that as I was starting this journey and wanting to get to know the hills up behind my house, I was going to go drive up to a trailhead and hike that day. And there were some people putting in a pool across from my house. And so my car was blocked in. And so I thought, well, I'll just walk around the neighborhood. And I knew there was a trail at the end of my road that went up to the trail, but it was pretty steep. I'd done it a couple years ago and I'm a little bit more out of shape now. And I thought, well, if you want to go on a challenging hike with this amazing friend that has hiked Mount Kilimanjaro,
in addition to that, you invited Jen, who has hiked the 7-second highest peaks in the world. I'm like, oh, I'm even afraid you're over there. You got
what is actually going to give me real incentive to stick to my goal? There's going to be no give up.
That's right. That's right. Jen is not going to let us, sit down and relax.
Yes. Yes. And as I sat there and I looked at that hill, I thought, that hill is nothing compared to what they have done and what you're going to do with them. And so you have to start
Yeah.
somewhere. And if you have to stop 10 times on the way up, that's okay. Give yourself grace. Just do it. And you know what? I did. And I didn't have to stop 10 times. I stopped maybe 4 times. But I was proud of myself
Yes.
because some of the little inclines were pretty steep. But it's that
Yeah.
starting, taking that first step. And this is what I remember. One thing that was so profound when we had your homecoming after Keeley, and the words that you learned on the mountain, pulley, pulley,
Pull it, pull it.
one foot in front of the other. And that's all you have to do is remember that next step, right? That next step. And that's so valuable, right? And knowing that you have champions. And so in your healing process, have grace for
Yeah.
yourself and just take that next step, next step, the next step.
And poly was, that one step at a time. And it didn't matter
Mm-hmm.
the speed. The important thing
Mm-mm.
was the direction of your feet. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the great lessons I brought home was the speed of the climb is not the important piece, unless you're in a race, and that's what turns you on. But
Yeah.
the goal and the direction. And now to continue that direction after I've been, Kili for me was the first summit. I have a lot yet to
Mm-hmm.
go. And they may not all be mountain summits, but they are definitely the summit. And that is that there are so many summits. If you look at that picture on the front of my book, I'm standing on a summit. But you see in the background multiple summits, and that we have multiple miles to go before we sleep in this life. And I think that's what hit me about when I received that message was, actually that question, are you ready to heal? I was like, is this another summit for me? Am I going to walk away or am I going to walk up? You've given me courage, Chantel, to take the next step, to be ready to heal. Most people, who may listen to this podcast or who know me think, oh, Mary, what are you talking about? She's already healed. What's that about? But you and I both know that it's never over. It literally is never over. And those people who are looking for that end point, they're not going to find it. And they're going to be frustrated
No.
with the journey. All right, as we wrap up our time today, Chantel, share with me what you think is the greatest lesson or the most profound thought that will stick with our listeners, other than the cave one. That was amazing. That would be something that will touch them forever. Maybe something that they're going to write on a post-it note. Oh, remember when Chantel said, what is that?
I think my message to all of your listeners, Mary, is have courage and don't be afraid to look deep inside, because I have this little magnet on my fridge that says look inside, that's where sparkle resides.
And you
And look
sparkle.
inside and find your inner sparkle. Find what lights you up. Find your purpose. Find your purpose and then create the steps
Yeah.
to get there, whether that be with your healing, in your fitness. But look inside, because everything that we need is truly inside of us. It's great to have a compassionate witness, but we're the only ones who have walked in our steps every day of our lives.
Yeah.
We're the ones that know. So look inside. You have all the answers that you need inside of you if you will just look and you will listen.
I love that. Thank you, Chantel. The other day, when I was asked that question, are you ready to heal? I could have had my first response be, what are you talking about? I've been healing my whole life. Am I ready to heal? That's a stupid question. I could have gotten defensive. But I chose something different, to seek, to ask, to learn, to heal. Thanks for being with me today, Chantel.
Thank you, Mary. It's been a pleasure.
Namaste.
Listen to the full podcast today and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and more. Crafting a Meaningful Life with Mary Crafts.